for this week's report. Residents reimagine Swasey Parkway in a future with rising tides. The Select Board hears from advisory committees. And the Holiday Parade returns this Saturday. For Exeter TV, I'm Gabe Perez, and this is the Exeter Biweekly Report. Let's get started. Good afternoon, Exeter. Thanks for tuning into the show today. If you haven't already, hit the subscribe button and like this video to help spread the word about the show and all things Exeter. You can also head over to the town website and subscribe to the town's email newsletter to get this show and other local news sent straight to your inbox. For our first segment, we attended an event hosted by Exeter Sustainability and Planning Department looking at different ways the town could work to enhance climate resiliency along Swasey Parkway.
With a future of predicted sea level rise, Exeter's waterfront required examination. Working with consultants and grant funding, the town hosted a public information session to give residents an opportunity to share their vision for the future of Swasey Parkway. The evening started off with a presentation from the consultants on the current and projected flooding along the Swampscott River. The presentation then turned to focus on the three main options the town has to deal with rising waters. These included resisting, with examples such as creating seawalls or elevating walkways and roadways to prevent flooding. The second method discussed was to accommodate by allowing and fostering the natural processes to take place as the water rises. This included conceptual ideas such as allowing the marshland to be restored by removing the Norris Brook Dam and restoring that area, or allowing the riverfront along the parkway to be restored into a marsh. The final method to deal with rising waters was to retreat. In this example, consultants discussed the potential of creating a floodable park. They showed what this could look like in Swasey alongside an existing design in Queens, New York at Hunters Point Park. Nick Messina, project manager and civil engineer with the consultants, was excited by this study.
Developing the accommodate and retreat strategies and doing some research into what other people were doing was extremely interesting. We saw those examples for the floodplain in Prague. We saw that park in Queens, New York. Those projects are on the cutting edge of climate adaptation strategies, and it's very cool to think about how they could be applied to this setting.
All of these designs and ideas were only conceptual, with the goal of fostering a robust discussion on the options the town may have to deal with rising waters in the future.
So the goal of tonight's event was to get community input, just to kind of do a collective brainstorming on what ideas this community feels are appropriate for different parts of the parkway. So people have been marking up the maps with some of their ideas. So I love that in the question and answer section, there was a whole array of responses. I thought that was really impressive, even as broad as, hey, let's look at Clemson Pond and restore that. I think we have an opportunity to sort of dream big at this stage and maybe pare it down based on what is realistic for the town and our timing.
Resident Silas Richards was also very excited that the town held this public information meeting.
I am super excited that the town is being proactive with this discussion, right? We're talking about a huge time frame, right? Humans really have challenges with thinking that long term. So the fact that we're getting the community input on a treasured piece of property is a step in the right direction, and I'm happy to participate. I think the difference of opinions that came here to talk about the future of this place that has impacted many people. I am optimistic that the town is really going to consider everybody's input for this, and I truly hope that we are taking a step in the right direction.
If you missed the meeting, the full presentation is now available on Exeter TV. It's also not too late to share your thoughts on the future of Swasey Parkway and the town's efforts to enhance resilience along the waterfront. A survey is now live on the Sustainability and Planning Department's website, giving the public a chance to talk about what they love about Swasey Parkway, what methods for dealing with rising waters they would prefer, and how they'd like to stay engaged as the process continues. Exeter TV will follow the project and keep you updated as more meetings and reports are published. Stay tuned to Exeter TV for this and all things Exeter.
The Select Board had another packed agenda at their November 24th meeting. To get you up to speed, Dan Monchek has this recap from our Meeting Minutes series.
This is your meeting minute for the November 24th Select Board meeting. A few weeks ago, members from the Tax Exemption and Credit Advisory Committee came in front of the Select Board to discuss the potential adoption and changes to several tax exemptions and credits. Now that the full Select Board was present, they were ready to vote on whether or not these changes would be included as a warrant article at the next town election. The proposals include changes to elderly tax exemptions. Depending on an elderly person's age bracket, they would receive this dollar amount off their assessed property value, an increase of roughly 30% from what's currently offered. The committee also proposed increases to the income limits required to qualify for this exemption.
We also realized there may be some priorities that need to be made on these, and we wanted folks to know that our number one priority is the elderly exemptions for this coming warrant.
The committee also discussed the blind tax exemption and proposed an increase from $15,000 to $25,000 off their assessed property value. Both of these tax exemptions combined would result in $107,000 in taxes to be reallocated among the rest of the population.
It's important for people to understand that the taxes don't just go away. They're redistributed over the rest of the pool that doesn't qualify for these exemptions.
We are reallocating $107,000 of property taxes among
the rest of the property taxpayers.
Yes. Yep.
Thank you.
This works out to a projected $15 increase in taxes for a property valued at $500,000. The board went on to talk about two tax credits for veterans, beginning with the Disabled Veterans Tax Credit with a proposed increase of $500 for recipients. The board also discussed the proposed adoption of a $500 tax credit for all veterans. The current tax credit offered to veterans is only available to those that served in a qualifying war or armed conflict. With this proposed credit, all veterans would qualify regardless of when or where they served.
I'm really happy to see that we're making the recommendation to adopt the All Veterans Tax Credit. I think I made my stance pretty clear the last time you were here, and that obviously hasn't changed. So,
the exact impact from this exemption on the rest of the taxpayers is unknown because there is no count of veterans in the state. But one member of the Tax Exemption and Credit Advisory Committee made an extrapolation based on statewide trends and within the county that roughly $30,000 would need to be redistributed among the rest of the taxpayers. The board unanimously voted to adopt these recommendations and include them as warrant articles at the town election in March. Up next, DPW Director Steve Cronin and Water Sewer Superintendent Steve Dalton were present to discuss a notice of violation the town received after an excess level of disinfectant byproduct was found in town drinking water. This problem arose as a result of the most recent drought that hit level 4 water restrictions. Mr. Dalton explained that a few years ago, in a previous drought, the treatment method the town used resulted in hydrants being flushed and a water tower being emptied. In order to combat this and avoid wasting water during a drought, the town increased levels of chloramine in the system.
The good news is we didn't really have to do any excessive flushing. We didn't waste any water in a drought year. The bad news is by having the extra disinfectant in the distribution system, it caused us to have a violation on the TTHM samples for Q4.
Doses of chloramine have already been reduced, and Mr. Dalton expects the town to be out of violation by the next sampling period in winter of 2026. At this time, no other source of water is necessary, as the impact from this byproduct is only harmful over extended periods of exposure.
and what, if any, effect does this have on folks at home?
So it's not an acute issue. It's more of a chronic issue. So over a long period of time, people with certain health issues could become affected with this over a long-term period of exposure. We're expecting that it's not going to last very long. We're going to try to mitigate it.
And this is one of the reasons why we're developing a wider suite of water resources.
Yes.
We just approved the easement on Drinkwater Lane. That's going to give us more groundwater resources.
Yes.
Where chloramine and organics will not be an issue.
That's correct.
Yeah. We're also in design for the surface water treatment plant right now, and we're looking at technologies that have enhanced organic removal. You know, ideally what we're trying to do is remove organics as early in the process as possible so that we're not having that mixture of organics and chlorine on the back end that are creating these issues in the system.
The next select board meeting will be held on March 8th in the Novak Room. See you there.
As you all can tell from behind me, Exeter is getting in the holiday spirit. For our last segment, we have one final reminder about this year's holiday parade. Tomorrow's the big day. The Exeter Holiday Parade returns for another year of amazing floats and Santa's super serious sleigh. The parade kicks off at 5:30 from the Osram plant at 131 Portsmouth Ave, making most of its journey through the end of Portsmouth Avenue onto High Street, down through downtown Water Street, and ends in Swasey Parkway. So pick a place to sit on the sides and have some good old holiday cheer. There will also be a sensory viewing area near the start of the parade between New England Pizza and Bank Prov, for anyone who may be a little more sensitive to the loudness a parade can bring. If you're unable to attend the parade in person, look no further than to Exeter TV's very own live broadcast on YouTube, Comcast Channel 6, and on our Roku app. We'll cover the parade from the bandstand, so you can see the whole thing in its downtown glory. But don't let the parade be all you see from us. 1 hour before the parade begins, we will be airing a very special Exeter Holiday pre-show, hosted by yours truly. We're going to take a look down memory lane of everything that's happened in town, and maybe have a few bits and gags to go along with it. The pre-show begins an hour before the parade, followed immediately by our coverage of the parade making its way through Water Street. Once again, you can catch all of this Saturday on YouTube, Channel 6, or Roku. We hope to see you there. That does it for this week's report. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe to help us spread the word. And head over to the town website and subscribe to the town's email newsletter to get this show and other local news sent straight to your inbox. We'll be back on December 19th for the next edition of the show. For Exeter TV, I'm Gabe Perez, and this has been the Exeter Biweekly Report. Have a great weekend and happy holidays, Exeter. You guys want to hear the best part? In 45 minutes, we gotta film Santa coming out, which means in probably 20 minutes, we gotta come back out here.
Yeah.
Santa Claus coming to town. Who wants to host? Who's hosting today? The Biweekly Report. You want to host the Biweekly Report?
Host it?
Yeah. Just read off the teleprompter. She would love that.
What, 7? I was at 6.
Yeah, put it at 7. Need a little bit of speed.
That was at 6.
Yeah, put it at 7.
I was at 6.
7.
I was at 6.
7.
Okay.